Hey everybody, today we're out at the State Fair of Texas with what is probably my favorite heavy-duty truck available in America right now. This is the recently redesigned Chevy Silverado HD. Let's take a look at the front end up here first on this high country model with the chrome accents. This is definitely more demure than the pre-refresh Silverado HD front end, which was, let's just say, controversial. We have a much less controversial LED headlight arrangement. Now, this is the top-end headlight arrangement. There is going to be a less expensive version, obviously, if you're taking a look at the fleet or work truck versions. And that is important to keep in mind, that not all the changes we're going to talk about today apply to the fleet versions of the Silverado HD, but a lot of them do, especially mechanically. We have, again, a more demure grille, but still big and bold and upright there. Lots of cooling going on, lots of cooling on down there at the bottom of the bumper as well. Of course, metal bumpers, just as you'd expect in a heavy-duty truck. Chrome tow hooks there, well-integrated parking sensors as well. And apparently the sheet metal has not changed, but this intake up top, which is very distinctive, definitely looks meaner, bolder, and bigger than before. Moving around to the side, of course, we have the Allison transmission and Duramax badging because this has the diesel engine under the hood, and the shiny High Country badge on this vehicle. You can now get High Country with blacked out trim. It's the first time you'll be able to get that option. High Country is, of course, the most luxurious interior available in the Silverado. And I think this now, as you'll see in a short while, has the chops to really compete with Ram as far as interior quality. And I think both Ram and Chevy at the moment have nicer interiors than even the recent refresh or redesign, however you want to call it, of the Ford Super Duty. Back here we have well-integrated truck steps right here at the front of the bed to help you get back there. And then all the way around the back, we still have the unique feature that we find in Chevy's truck line here, where we have the multi-pro or multi-flex tailgate. They call this a multi-flex tailgate, of course, at Chevy. GMC calls it multi-pro. We get the same functionality that we get in their half-ton truck lineup in their heavy-duty truck lineup. And that's pretty unique because we do not see the barn doors in the Ram truck lineup, and Ford doesn't really have a corollary to this kind of tailgate tech. You can, of course, open it just like a regular tailgate. In this position, it's going to help you get a forklift or get yourself right there up a little bit closer to the bed, and then you can fold this down and use it as a step. That sounds similar to what we find in the Ford, but this is a much more rugged step, of course, in this lineup with that width and the size of that step. You can also get the integrated sound system if you're interested. Now, it does make flipping and folding this a little bit trickier, and depending on the kind of hitch you have on the vehicle, you could end up bopping the ball on the tailgate, so keep that in mind if you're interested in this. Down here, of course, we have the big 2.5-inch receiver, and then we have the camera inputs for the various camera views that are enabled via this system. I really love that touch, but it does mean that you have to give up the 4-pin wiring harness connection for your trailer. There's just a 7-pin right there. Under the hood, there's some pretty big changes going on with the gasoline drivetrain. Still a 6.6-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, still producing just over 400 horsepower, but now, instead of a 6-speed, we get a 10-speed automatic transmission. The same transmission we get on this 6.6-liter Duramax diesel. That's really going to make a big impact for people that are towing heavier loads or doing a lot of hauling, or people that are interested in performance, because this is going to be quicker 0 to 60 than the model with the previous transmission, of course. The 10-speed automatic transmission won't just make towing more pleasant, it's also going to improve your payload numbers if you get the dual rear wheel model. Single rear wheel model, some of the numbers change around a little bit depending on the exact configuration you're looking at. Payload numbers may be higher or lower than before, typically as we see in trucks. Obviously, all of the options and accessories you add to your vehicle are going to deduct from your payload numbers. But payload figures are still pretty stout, and generally you're going to be above what we see in the Ram truck lineup. The interior is obviously the place where we find the biggest change, and a lot of this interior is shared with the 1500. We have a standard size moonroof. No pano roof is available in this model. If you want that, you'll have to get a Ford. Moving down here, we find High Country badging on the seats, leather upholstery, and you can see that this interior has sort of a 2 or 3 tone color scheme going on. The upholstery is navy blue, as is that section of the door right there. It's a very attractive look to my eye. I'd love to know what you think about that. Lots of soft touch materials going on in that blue section. We then have harder plastics lower on the door there, and lots of soft touch materials on the dash too. Also, real wood trim in this High Country model. Lots of it going on as well with that big panel right there on the dash. We have soft touch injection molded plastics up here. That hides a small glove compartment. We then find a larger one down there on the dashboard. Harder plastics down here to help improve durability. And then in the middle of the dashboard, we have this large Google-based infotainment system. This is essentially the same one that we find in the Silverado 1500. So if you want to know more about this, check out that video. The software is essentially the same with a few mild adaptations for the heavy-duty truck. We then have some physical buttons down here along the bottom. These are going to change based on the options you get on your truck. So for instance, in this truck, we have a tailgate release button right there, exhaust brake because we have the diesel engine. There's a home and volume knob there. Down here we have the trailer brake controller nice and prominent rather than tucked away, so it's really easy to find. Engine start stop button, and then the controls for the dual zone automatic climate control. There's plenty of storage going on in here. Storage cubbies on either side of the center console, large storage area there, 2 large cup holders, more High Country badging there on that center armrest. Lots of storage going on here, basically the same console that we find in the 1500 with a Qi wireless charging mat. Even more USB ports going on there, a place where you can store your hanging files as well. And then 2 big cup holders back there for the rear passengers. Depending on the trim level, you'll be able to get a heads-up display. This model has it. We also have the full-color LCD instrument cluster over here. Unfortunately, this truck is not on, so I cannot show that to you. But again, it's going to be pretty similar to the Silverado 1500. Be sure and check out that video because it should already be online right now. You can see all those details in the 1500 cabin. Over here on this side, we have the controls for the adaptive cruise control system that is now available here. Also, a heated steering wheel button, and then controls for the infotainment system are on the back of the steering wheel. You'll find volume up, down on the right side, track forward, backward on the left, and then these buttons mainly relate to that multifunction LCD instrument cluster. Front seat comfort is likely the same as the pre-refresh model because we have essentially the same seat design. 2-way adjustable lumbar support, not 4-way. I would love to see that in some more heavy-duty trucks. Right now, if you want a more adjustable, more comfortable seat, you can find it in the top-end version of the F250 and 350. You're obviously going to pay extra for that feature, but you will get front seat massage. We have a manual tilt telescopic steering column with a pretty decent range of motion and the same sort of motion over there on the passenger seat as the driver's seat. Jumping into the back seat, pay no attention to the truck cover that's sitting right there next to me. There's plenty of room for it over there. I've got lots of headroom in here. This is the roomiest cab in this segment. The Ram cab, even in mega cab form, doesn't have as much headroom, and in the Ford cab, especially if you get the panoramic moonroof, it really cuts down on headroom. If I put my head back here, I have about 3 inches of headroom. So if you frequently have taller passengers, you're going to want to take a look at this truck. Also, less of a driveline hump going on down here than we find in the Ram heavy-duty truck lineup, likely simply due to the age of that particular platform. Here, the rear passengers get heated rear seats. In this model, pretty small air vents on either side there and some USB charge-only ports. The blue theme continues, and let's go ahead and take a look under the seats because everyone wants to know what storage is like down here. We have a pretty flat floor. We have a small storage area right there. And we don't have quite as much legroom or the ability to recline the seats as we find in the Ram Mega Cab, but we do have some hidey holes for, whatever it is you want to stash back there. Heavy-duty trucks are, of course, all about hauling and trailering, so we have all of GM's latest trailering tech on the Silverado HD. We have 14 different camera angles. They are a little bit different than the most camera views that you can get on a Silverado 1500, but we also finally have blind spot monitoring for conventional trailering, something that has for some reason been missing on the heavy-duty Silverados for a while. We then also have the GVWR alert, so it will tell you based on transmission, torque profiles, etc., if it thinks your combination of truck and trailer is over the weight specification for the vehicle. Of course, if you get the diesel, 470 horsepower, 975 pound-feet of torque, and that 10-speed automatic transmission. The transparent trailer functionality is probably my favorite feature on the Chevy line of pickup trucks. If you have a camera on the back of your trailer that is compatible with the system, then you can see effectively what is behind the truck-trailer combination from the inside. Now, oddly enough, it's not going to be displayed on the rearview mirror. It is going to be on the infotainment system. If you want to know more about that, I have some videos that take a deep dive into the trailering tech in the 1500. It's substantially similar here, only on the newer infotainment software. We also finally have adaptive cruise control on the Silverado HD, something that we also expect to see on the Sierra HD when it gets announced next week. So be sure and stay tuned for that. One thing to know, no Super Cruise, however, is available on Silverado HD. We're unsure exactly why that is, whether the electronics are ready or not for that on this particular truck, or whether it's simply a lack of customer demand. It is worth noting that GM now allows towing with Super Cruise on the 1500 Silverado. So maybe they didn't want to do that with larger, heavier trailers, something along those lines, but I wouldn't be surprised if that came at some point in the future. We also don't find some of the more niche features that we see in some of the competition, but I think GM has done a really good job giving you exactly what you need without worrying about some of the frills that people aren't really buying there. Let me know what you think about all that down there in the comment section below, and what would you pick if you're shopping for a 3/4 ton or 1 ton truck in America right now? Would you get something like this? Would you be interested in the new Super Duty series of trucks, which I don't think have as nice of an interior as these trucks? I think this certainly feels more premium, especially if you're walking all the way up to a high country or a platinum grade in your Ford Super Duty. I think this interior feels more premium. And the front end, well, it's just not as controversial as it was before. So I think more people are going to be interested and attracted to this design. And any way you slice it, I think Ford and GM have the edge over Ram currently in the heavy duty segment. I think Ram is really solid in the half-ton segment, but for a variety of different reasons, they're a little bit behind GM and Ford when it comes to the bigger trucks. Let me know what you think about that, which one you would pick. Find all the other related videos from the Texas State Fair. You'll see all those dropping very, very soon. And if you want to see these in person, they're going to be out here in Dallas for a few days, so be sure and stop by. I'll see all of you later.